There's one power within the Imperium that answers to no one but themselves. They can walk into a spaceport and take command of military ships, conscript men to aid them at any level within the bureaucracy of the Administratum, and get whatever resources they want without having to explain why. What happens when one of the Inquisition goes against the will of the Inquisition? When they go too far? That old adage, who watches the watchman? When this happens, and the Inquisitor is interrogated, there are 9 actions involved in that. What happens to that person? Friends, let's find out, and welcome to another 40k video. As they move through these 9 actions, they get more severe, and the interrogator is more desperate to break the Inquisitor. To get a confession, a device called a excruciator can add physical pain to the body without doing any actual damage to it. So let's go through those 9 steps from lightest to heaviest before we run through an example of interrogation from the Eisenhorn novel Malleus. First, they are only interrogated verbally, then further actions are threatened. At this point, light physical torture is used to aid the verbal interrogation. Then they keep the physical and add elements of psychological manipulation. Still nothing? Then things are stepped up further. Psychic interrogation used with light physical and verbal pain. Then at the 6th step, sensory and physical deprivation can be used. At 9, intense psychic interrogation will be employed against the victim. At 8, psychochemical drugs are brought in. And finally at 9, physical pain that does not end. This is done to them in that way and also mentally. After that, they can then be talked to again if they survive level 9, of course. So let's look at that example. Eisenhorn at this point has been captured by Ozma. One accusation against him, for example, is consorting with demon hosts. And let's go through the moment when he's taken. Ozma says, "You're hereby arrested and condemned to death." Flanked by 6 robed interrogators, reading aloud from the books of pain and the chapter of punishment, Inquisitor Leonid Ozma approaches Eisenhorn and says, "In fealty to the God Emperor, our undying Lord, and by the grace of the Golden Throne, in the name of the Ordo Marius and the Inquisition, I call thee Diabolus, and in the testimony of thy crimes, I submit this Carter. May imperial justice account in all balance. The Emperor protects." Eisenhorn responds in a similar language, very oldie-worldy, Shakespearean if you will. "I hear full well thy charge, and thy words, and make my submission." This is the ancient form, Eisenhorn tells us. "May imperial justice account in all balance. The Emperor protects. Dost thou accept this Carter from my hand? I accept it into mine, for that I may prove it thrice false. Dost thou stake thy innocence now at the going off? I state it true and clear. May it be so writ down." Vox drones record this exchange, and a young interrogator transcribes with an auto-quill. Eisenhorn is asked to give up his badge of office, but points out he can hold on to it until due process has ended. He's told he consorts with the demons, which he denies. As well as Ozma, there are 3 interrogators, and they're speaking to him at first action. Ozma tells him of the 3rd and 5th actions, and he points out, by the way, you just utilised the 2nd action, verbal threat of and or description of actions that may follow. And I love Eisenhorn throwing that back at him here. He says those methods, such as torture, will not work in him, and Ozma says methods up to level 9 have been authorised. They have good intelligence on one of his people, and evidence for an incident performed at Thracia. Eisenhorn fears they will pick up, at the stage of psychic interview, the lies he now tells them. He says he was there to honour the tomb of an admiral, but the accusation is that he was there to allow him to liberate and remove the heretic psyker Esarhaddon. He says that was the idea, but it was not done by him. She says he killed interrogator Lyko. Eisenhorn replies, Because he was working with a demon host and an Inquisitor marked as dead, Quixos was also the one who perverted Lycos to the heretic cause. We're wasting time here. Eisenhorn finished. I'm not the man you want. This first action carries on for 2 weeks. Eisenhorn sees they are afraid to escalate the action, as he is a high-ranking psyker. Into his 3rd month, and worn down, he enters the interview room. It was cold and bitter due to the weather. Ozma tells him he will be extradited to Thracian Primaris, and will go through a formal trial there. Eisenhorn says, the result of that trial may embarrass you and your master, Lord Bezier, and the black ships are inbound to take him there. Then she announces what might be the end of Eisenhorn. Tomorrow my staff will begin 9th action, examination of you. There will be no respite until the black ships arrive, or you tell me what I want to hear. 2 days of 9th action methods will probably guarantee I won't be alive when the black ships come, Eisenhorn retorted. Probably. A shame, and questions will be asked. But this is a lonely prison, and I am in charge. That is why today I'm just talking to you. Just you and me. A last chance. Tell me the whole truth now, Eisenhorn. Man to man. Make this easy on us both. Confess your crimes before the pain begins tomorrow. Spare us the trial on Thracian, and I'll do everything in my power to ensure your execution is quick and painless. I'll gladly tell you the truth. Eisenhorn's eyes brightened when he says this, and in my mind he has a pause and she leans in. It's all there on that slate you were reading, exactly as I've been saying these last 3 months. When taken back to his cell, one of his close allies even questions Eisenhorn. Did he do these things he's being accused of? Eisenhorn fixes the man with his eyes. You want to ask if I'm lying? If there's any truth to the charges? If you have been working for a man who consorts with demons? It's a stupid question, I know. If you are those things, you won't hesitate to lie again. I'm too tired for anything but the truth, Godwin, Eisenhorn explains. I swear by the Golden Throne, I am not what Ozma says I am. I'm a true servant of the Emperor and the Inquisition. Find me an eagle and I'll swear on that too. I don't know what else I can do to convince you. When he later exhibits great illness due to the stress he's been under, physically and mentally, he's moved via shuttle and rescued by his companions, that amongst others include, for those that know, Fishig, Bequin and Inchabel. It's made to look like a fake death when he's taken, with those who flew him in the shuttle necessarily dead. Eisenhorn thinks, may the Emperor forgive me and my staff for the deaths of Rigger and 2 flight crew. Their deaths were the only way I could maintain my security. And it's here, friends, on that note we wrap up today's video. What do you think to the levels of pain and Inquisition he's put through in-house? Do you think it should be done quicker to weed out any heretics, or do you feel the measured approach is better? Skipping the mid steps and going straight to 9 with Eisenhorn was pretty harsh, though he's lucky perhaps that she's not a Spinal Tap fan, in which case it might have gone up all the way to 11. I've recently reread the Eisenhorn trilogy, and man, it holds up really, really well. I thoroughly enjoyed it a second read through. I couldn't get into Ivanhoe. Let me just insert a little audio here. When I say Ivanhoe, I don't know what I'm talking about. I meant Ravenor. I tried to read Ravenor again, I think it's the 3rd time, and I just can't get into it. But I have a copy of the first Bequin book ready to read on my 40k bookshelf. So I might get some lore to you from that once I've gone through it. So friends, comment down below, let me know what you think of the lore and the books if you've read them.